My first 6 months with Swift were extremely difficult for me. I want to explain why. I was born and raised in Southern California. Okay. I didn't start driving truck until I was almost 23. I'm almost 26 now. The furthest I had been out of the state, or the furthest I had been away from Southern California, was Las Vegas, Nevada. Now, from where I'm at, that's a 4-hour drive. I'd never been further than that. And the thought of being so far away from home scared the living shit out of me. But I did it because I got bills to pay. I couldn't find a decent 9 to 5, decent paying 9 to 5. I had just come off of unemployment, and I had rent, electricity, my cell phone. I had to do something. So I signed up with Swift. I actually signed up through the Central Refrigerated website because at the time I didn't know that Swift and Central were one and the same. But I signed up on a Wednesday, and that following Monday I started school to get my license. School is about a 3-week process. And then out of orientation, you get assigned a trainer or a mentor. And I kind of lucked out, I guess, because my mentor was on the Dollar Tree dedicated account, and he was home every weekend. And the furthest he went east was Utah. Now, in my head, that was great because I got to come home every weekend. I didn't get to stay away from my friends and family that long. And when it came time to go solo, I joined on with Dollar Tree as well. On paper, the Dollar Tree account is great. $110 per load, $30 per stop, $50 per back haul, and $110 bonus at the end of every week, as long as you were available to work and you had no service failures, plus mileage. Sounds great on paper, but I worked for probably 3 days a week. I was back to the same predicament I was when I first started school. I had rent, electricity, my cell phone bill, and I wasn't making enough money to cover them all. And I couldn't keep juggling bills. Like, I was at a point where I had to pay my bills, or I either lost my apartment, my electricity got shut off, or I lost my cell phone. So I went OTR. That scared me. But I did what I had to do to make sure I was putting money in the bank, because I had bills to pay and I was laying down a foundation, so to speak, because I was trying to make a better life for me and my girlfriend, now fiance, soon to be wife. So I went OTR. My very first OTR delivery was to Kansas. will never forget it. And at first, I was scared at first, I'm not gonna lie. I basically lived under a rock. I didn't know anything other than Southern California. I was scared and I was excited because I got to see so many wonderful sights and being able to travel the country, which is something I had always wanted to do, but until I got in the mindset that I was being paid to travel the country, yeah, I only got to look out my window, but I was being paid to travel the country. It made it a lot easier for me. Now, my first 6 months weren't difficult just because I was afraid of being away from home. I had a hard time managing my hours. I had a hard time trip planning correctly. I had a hard time dealing with customers, because when I was training, I was able to fall back on my trainer if I made a mistake. I can't count how many weeks I went with a $100 or $200 paycheck because I screwed up my hours, or I screwed up a delivery, or I got in a fight with my DM at the time, or whatever the reason may be. But my first 6 months were hard, and I firmly believe that in your first 6 months is when you spend your time finding your niche. I still haven't found mine, and I'm going on 2 years with Swift. But I am on a good account that keeps me moving relatively well. Right now during the winter it's difficult because I run primarily the Pacific Northwest, and the Pacific Northwest has been getting hit with really bad storms lately. But I still move relatively consistent. I'm not getting the miles like I did during the spring and summer, but it's expected. But once you figure out how to manage your hours correctly, how to be friendly at the customer, because if you're making a delivery or a pickup and it's taking quite a bit of time, going inside and screaming at the shipping or receiving clerk isn't going to speed up the process, and it's actually going to slow it down, because you're now the asshole who can't wait an extra 20 minutes for the truck next to you, who for whatever reason slowed down the receiving process. So now you gotta wait even longer because they're going to make you wait for being an asshole. And I'm a socially awkward person. I don't do well with talking to people I don't know. That was hard for me to overcome being by myself. I had to talk to people I did not know. But my first 6 months weren't terrible. Could have been much worse. It wasn't fantastic, but I did get to see some amazing sights. You do get to see some cool stuff when you're OTR. I made some pretty decent money when I switched to OTR. I was on Dollar Tree for 2 months. Out of those 2 months, I worked 2 full weeks, Monday through Friday. But When I was running OTR, I'd get like 3,300 miles a week. I was bringing home maybe $700 a week. My best check as a company driver was, I think, like $1,100 or $1,200, and that's because I forgot to scan in some lumber receipts from the week before, so I got reimbursed for that. But if you've never left your home, you've never left your little section of area that you live in, whatever state you may be in, if you're anything like me, going cross-country trucking is going to be frightening and exciting at the same time. And now that I've been doing it for almost 2 years, I can't wait to be able to go home every day. I like driving, but I want to be able to go home every day. Or maybe just switch companies. I don't know. Because I'm a lease operator, so I still have some time left on my lease before I can go home. But I am looking into other companies for decent lease options, and maybe I'll be able to go home a little bit more often because I do like to drive. There is money to be made in your first 6 months, really your first year. You don't make that much money, but once you pass your year mark, you can make much more. Yeah. So 6 months was a really big learning curve for me. I'm still learning. I'm still a rookie by the industry standard. But my opinion is, if you feel that you know everything there is to know about this industry and about driving trucks, it's time to hang up your keys and go somewhere else. Or pass your knowledge on to others. Go teach a class. Not necessarily teach how to drive a truck, how to back up a trailer, but go teach a class. Whatever it may be. Go talk to other people who think they know it all. You will learn something when you think you know everything. When you stop learning, it's time to change careers. Alright, I gotta get out of here. I'm heading to Idaho. Hopefully I'll beat the snow.